What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and how on earth I see Tesla exploding. So I believe it's very probable that Tesla is going to have a big rally relatively soon, but when it comes to the rally, guys, I have to note something very important. There are two main possibilities as to how this is going to play out, so I really want to talk about this in more detail to help you understand what you need to know. Now, before I do any in-depth technical analysis on how Tesla is probably going to run and explode, I do have to mention some very important things first. First off, I'm not a financial planner. This is all for educational purposes only, so please do not take this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. And not only benefits me, benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you do sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're not only going to qualify for up to 5 free stocks, each worth up to $3,500, but you're also going to have the opportunity to win up to $200,000, as Moomoo is giving away that much money for the new year. So if you want a chance to win 200 grand and to get up to 5 free stocks, check out the link down below, download Moomoo, and deposit $100 to get your chance. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So this is Tesla's chart with the 2-hour candles. Now, I'm using 2-hour candles to show you guys the meticulous outlook of how this moves, and this could actually help us understand something very important. So, looking at Tesla, guys, right now we're still kind of following this falling wedge pattern, but as you guys can see, this thing wants to break out of it, right? We hit it, we got a little rejected, we hit it again, we kind of broke out of it, right? And we're really trying to break out of this downward trend and really run, because this thing really wants to run, guys. The people going long are gaining a lot of control over the share price, and we can actually see this encompassing a big run for the future. Now, here's the thing about the market. The market is very unpredictable. I'm not some kind of wizard that knows exactly what's going to happen, which is why we need to talk about the possibilities. Now, we do have a very important gap right here. I'm sure a lot of people noticed it, and they're talking about it. For those of you who don't know, by the way, a gap is just means that there's a certain time frame where there's not trading within a stock that happens at a particular range. This could happen between the closing and the opening. It can also happen where a time where people just don't trade at all. And there are many different things that could cause it, right? Just know that all it means is that there's a candlestick, there are charts like this, and there's this big literal gap in between. So typically these gaps need to be filled. So what I want to do in this video is I want to look at the historical context about these gaps and talk about what does this actually mean for Tesla? How long may it take for the gap to get filled? Or is the gap actually going to be filled? So let's go all the way back. Okay, I actually pinpointed a ton of them, and you guys can see some very interesting things. Let's start right over here. Right here, let's move right here. So there's a gap right here. Right here. Do you guys see this gap? See how this green rectangle is not connected to this red one? There's a big gap here. So what happens is when gaps like this form, typically stocks need to fill these gaps, which means that they run in between this range again to fill the gap. In this case, it took 10 bars, and I'm using 2-hour candles, so that's in total took about 2 days and 4 hours. So 2 days. Okay, now let's go right here. I know this is a little hard to see. There's a gap right here, and I measured it. It took about 3 days to fill, almost 3 days. Another very interesting moment. Now let me show you another one. You guys can see that there's a big one right here. This big gap right here. Now this one, however, took a long time to fill. It took about 44 days. So sometimes these gaps take forever to fill, but there are other times where they take much less time. Like this one took 14 days. This one right here. See, there's a gap right here. There's all this open space. It took 14 days for us to actually fill it right over here. So it's super interesting, right? Sometimes they take 10 days, other times 6 days, other times 5 days, 1 day. This one took 1 day, 7 bars, which is 1 day and 6 hours, because I'm using 2-hour candles, by the way. But you guys understand my point, right? Typically, these gaps need to be filled. So if Tesla were to rally, there are two possibilities that you need to be aware of. And I don't truly know which one's going to actually play out, because both of them are very possible, right? Using technical indicators, you could get an idea about the fact that we're showing lots of bullish momentum using the MACD and other things like that. But here are the main possibilities, okay? What could happen is we're probably going to drop like this, touch this, run up, maybe like this, get rejected, Wait, hold on. We need to drop like below this. Let me redo that. I'm sorry. What could happen is we drop a little bit, we run up again, then we go up like this, and then we just start to rally, right? And you could use an Elliott wave theory, because I know Elliott wave is a really good way of encompassing how Tesla moves. But then the problem is, what about the gap fill, right? Because we do need to fill this gap, or it's very probable that we will eventually. So there's a possibility that the gap fill may come in the future. Maybe something happens to the market. Maybe. So maybe we could run like this, go up, then slowly start to descend. And eventually we may end up like slowly filling this gap, right? Because the Fed may like raise rates, something could happen. Okay, it could be like, hold on, this, we fill the gap like that. That's a possibility. That could still be a gap fill. It could take that long before we start to like rally after that, and then really run, right? Just a possibility. This is just a crazy possibility, right? But another possibility is not like this. So let me change the color of this though, just real quick, just so that we could color code the possibilities. Another possibility is we kind of run up, drop, get rejected here, and we have one last drop to the gap fill area, which would be the $850 range. We could go a little lower. We run up, we have some kind of bottom, we get rejected again before we start to rally. This time we break through the trend line, and then boom, very bullish rally after that, right? Both of these are very possible. Just an example. Maybe I kind of exaggerated on that run. Something like this, right? Those are the two possibilities. And that's the way I want you guys to look at the chart, because we still have this gap fill right here, which means it's very probable, it's not guaranteed, but it's very probable that this has to get filled. And the thing about the overall layout is we do see this inverse head and shoulders that formed. But the thing about it is it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. This has happened many times in the past. So if I take this, right, and let's change the color to like yellow. Okay, let's do this. We're gonna have this shoulder. The head could be like that. And then the question is, do we have to dip this low to complete it, or could we have already completed it? Right? This could still be a completed head and shoulders that's just not symmetrical. It could still be like this, or it would have to be like a retracement like this. Either one of these possibilities can happen. But it seems like it's already been completed and we have a lot of bullish momentum building up, considering that we're testing this upper trend line and we just really want to break it. So I don't truly know what's going to happen, guys. It's very hard for me to call this because of the fact that the market is in such a capricious state. Because the market was red. Obviously, Tesla had a big dip on like Thursday. It ran up, then it dipped because of like the Facebook earnings. Obviously, that played a significant role. Then all of a sudden, Amazon has a great earnings. Amazon explodes, and the entire market starts like rallying, and that helped Tesla really run to the upside too. So the point I'm trying to make is I don't really know what's going to be announced. If the Fed is going to say what they're actually going to do with interest rates, if the SEC is going to do something about liquidations, I don't truly know, guys, because this could just, the market could change based off news, and I don't know exactly what's going to play out, but I do know one thing, and that is it's very probable that we have this gap fill right here, but we do have lots of bullish momentum right now. So the gap fill it may happen in the future, guys. It may take like 100 days for us to get there, just like this blue one is showing, the blue possibility, before we see like another big run. Or it may start next week or in a couple of days for us to fill the gap before we see a big rally. Either one of those are very, very possible. I want to just inform you guys about that. But what I now personally think, and I'm sure you guys are probably waiting for me to say that, what I think is more probable is I think right now I know this could sound crazy, but it seems a little more probable that this is going to play out, the blue line actually. That's because of the fact that we have this momentum, guys. A lot of momentum. Because if you were to look at this from the RSI perspective, zoom out of the chart like this, we were at 1200 all time highs, 1200, and we were at like 1240 not too long ago, right? We're at the 1200 range just a couple, less than a month and a half ago, right? Less than a month and a half ago, we were at 1200 and we dipped so hard since the year started. Huge dip. So it's very probable we're going to have a big reversal, a big run up. And I think Tesla really wants to do that. So what I think is happening is I think the blue one is a little bit more probable, but either one can end up playing out. But what I think is the blue possibility is a lot more likely. So that's what I have for this one. I hope it gave you guys a better understanding. And I just want to reiterate something. The gaps don't have to be filled. It's just extremely likely that they will be filled because historically, about every time we had a gap in Tesla's chart, it got filled. And typically they could take a couple of days, usually around 30 days or less, and that's something that I still think is going to have to play out, or at least it's very probable that it will. I just don't know if it's going to happen next week or if it's going to take a month from now. That really depends on so many factors, and it's very hard for me to predict it perfectly. But I think, based off my analysis, that these are the two main possibilities, and that the blue one is actually looking a little bit more probable, a lot more probable, actually. So that's what I have for this one. I think the blue one is more likely, and that's what I think is going to play out. So I'm still very bullish for the future of Tesla, regardless of the short term, and I can't wait for what the future holds. I thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.